Steven Nixon from Bernhard and Company joins me today on Turf Business TV. Steven, thanks for taking time out. It looks a bit quiet in the background there, but I guess that's not usual.
We're quiet at the moment. We've got a minimum amount of people at work, but I must admit I'm not really at the academy.
Steven, what I would like to focus on in this chat today is Bernhard and Company, obviously well known for their supply of grinders, and in fact the company name used to include grinders. There's been a shift of focus, but to start off with, let's talk about tournament support, because I think that's something that a lot of people may not be aware of what's involved with that and how it actually transpires to come about. So I believe you're involved all around the world in tournaments, is that correct?
Yeah, that is, yeah. We're involved with wherever there's golf, wherever there's a major or a tournament being played. Quite often we're involved in that. So we, right through the Asian tour, US tour, and then any, some of the tournaments in Europe as well. So yeah, everywhere there's a decent sized tournament where we could be involved at some point. Yes.
Does that include majors?
Yeah, very much so. So usually the majors are, played at some of the best golf courses in the world, and especially US-wise, with 3 of the majors being there, and us having, over 80 of the top 100 US golf courses as customers. They do then rely on us to go in and support them during their tournament. So yeah, we've done a huge amount of US Opens and PGAs and different tournaments, and then a lot of the US Tour events as well, and that's for a lot of years as well.
Are you involved in the Masters?
We're not, because Augusta run the Masters every year. They're the most tournament-ready golf course in the world. They're constantly in tournament mode, so they don't require any support really from us. But
so involved in tournaments all around the world, majors included in that. Obviously, the next big major, or the only major on these shores, is the British Open. That will be, a year in the waiting for, but because it got cancelled. But I guess that's coming up in the summer. When did preparation start for that?
Well, we've worked with the guys they've had our equipment for a good number of years now. So we're always in contact. They're a very capable crew down there. So if they have any problems, we're in and out there. But we started discussing with them 3 or 4 years ago on what might be needed for the tournament. So for instance, we get an understanding of how much support equipment will be coming in, mowing equipment. So we get an idea on how many cutting heads would be used, what type of mowers will be used in certain situations. And then we decide what we need to do to help them. So we'll probably put an extra set of machines in. So a couple of weeks before the tournament, which is the hardest part really, the lead up to the week of the tournament, is where you've got to have everything through the workshop and sharp and ready to go. Not that the equipment in a golf course like that is ever in bad condition, it's always in good condition. But again, with some of the support equipment that's coming in, you can't always guarantee, what condition it comes from the last tournament from. So we're going and we'll help them on the lead up to the major week and make sure everything's perfect. And we'll put one of our tournament support specialists in there to work with their crew as well during and through the tournament if required. And we'll get everything done and try and take a little bit of stress away on that side of it for the team down there.
That's a long lead in. I guess things get a bit more frantic once you get, a few months out, or is it kind of a bit further than that?
Again, it depends on the venue and the course, but if the guys down there they're pretty switched on, they're very switched on, and they maintain very high standards all year round. So we're just really going in to add a little bit of help and a bit of experience in certain areas. So I would imagine at a place like at Royal St George's, it'll be pretty good. So we'll just go in and take that extra work. Some tournaments that we do, you walk in and they can be very frantic because they're just not, they're not prepared. That's not so much at majors, but at a lot of tournament venues that we go to. So you might go to some obscure places around the world that, it's going to be their only tournament they've ever done and maybe ever do again. And we walk into some real battlefields in them places. So it is frantic, absolutely frantic. And we sometimes find ourselves doing a little bit more than just sharpening mowers, setting them and making sure that they're running right. But a place like, like Royal St George's, it'll be tip top, and we'll just be adding the cream on with them and just making sure that it's well supported, really.
I don't know if you want to share one of those obscure places where you had a bit of a challenge.
Well, I'll not name the golf course or places, but we've basically gone into venues with sort of a week to go, and there's been every single bearing that's in no fit state to running a mower right through. So these are greens mowers that will be cutting at 2.5 mil or lower, and real bearings or cylinder bearings will be shot on them, and bed knives will be worn out, and they're just not they just don't understand the level of perfection that is needed. So it's all hands to the pump. You're ripping bearings out, putting bearings in, and you're mechanicking really before you get to the point of being able to sharpen. And then there's other things that we can bring, like a little bit of organisation is key into these situations, because you've got so much equipment and usually a lot of volunteers as well. It becomes chaos. So it's one of the first things we do if they're not a tournament sort of ready venue, is we put a little bit of structure into the workshop and a system of marking things up properly and making sure there's no confusion, making sure nobody takes a greens mower across a tee or things like that. It's just simple things with marking and experience that we can bring to it. But yeah, it's like anything back in the day, sort of 20 years ago when I was doing tournament preparation, to where we are today, everything's got better and everybody's better prepared. We actually produced a tournament support document that we used to send out to golf courses, sort of a year out to try and help them. Really, we never take over. We never insist on things. We just recommend things because it's a big event for that golf course. And if they've not been through it before, a little bit of advice of what we've learned from doing so many golf tournaments. You just keep adding to the document and they can benefit from your experience.
So in terms of making a decision that you're going to be involved in tournament support, is that down to the golf associations, PGA, etc., or is that down to the course? Or
generally, the golf course has the final say, because the vast majority are usually customers, so they expect it. It goes without saying. The European Tour do ask us from time to time to get involved and ask for our support and help. We have a contract, a rolling contract with the tournament players clubs in the US. So a lot of their tournaments we're expected to go and be involved with. And in the past, in the past, the USGA have asked us to get involved in certain tournaments, but generally they're usually customers. So it just goes without saying. I was looking at, we had a long list of all the US Opens and Ryder Cups and PGA events, and out of the last 20 years or so, there's a handful that we've not been involved with because simply they're not our customer as well. So
market dominance has kind of put you in that position, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think because we've done so well over the years, and our grinders and our system lends itself to tournaments because they're so quick and easy to use. So you can do a vast amount of sharpening in a very small time. We've ground as many as 100 reels in a day at some of these tournaments. Not on its own, with a team of people, but when you're just flicking them through the grinder and they're on there for 3 or 4 minutes, floor to floor, you can really seriously get through some work. You've got a couple of sets of machines working, a couple of guys pulling things apart, sharpening and rebuilding them, and you can get amongst it and get some real turnover of equipment, which is really vital at times. I mean, I've been involved in US Opens where you would hope they've stopped sanding or top dressing the greens way out, but because of weather conditions or when the certain factors that are out of your control, they've still been top dressing, the top dress greens 3 or 4 days before practice day. And when you're looking at really, really tight greens, there's nowhere for the sand to go. Your mowers are going to pick it up. And I can remember one tournament, I was grinding 18 greens mowers twice a day, for like 10 days straight, plus everything else, which I was absolutely, it nearly killed me, honestly. It's a good job I was a bit younger then. But our machines can do it, and that's the big benefit. Is it's the speed and ease of them really that sets us apart. So yeah, I'm thankful that I've moved up the ladder in the company now, and that I'm not on that tournament support team anymore. It's about 5 years is enough for anybody on it. It's incredibly hard work.
I bet it's a lot of fun though as well, because I get to see some places. Yeah.
It is very much so. It's almost, when you're there, you're exhausted, and the adrenaline keeps you going, because unfortunately, when you're on the mechanical side of it, you've got to be there before anybody starts in the morning to make sure the equipment's ready to go and it's all set out. So you're generally there, some of the majors, US Opens, etc., where they're mowing greens at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, you're there at 3 o'clock. And then, of course, they go out and mow again at night after the last player plays. So equipment can start returning to the maintenance facility 10, 11 o'clock on a night. And then you've got to sometimes sharpen it or check it. You've definitely got to check it and set it. And if they're not 100%, you sharpen them, and you've got to have them ready for the next morning. So you're grabbing a few hours sleep during the day. So when you like to be outside watching the golf, you're actually trying to grab some rest. But there's always something to do. So you do survive on 2 and 3 hours sleep a day for a period of time. But your adrenaline keeps you going. All the guys coming in, all the volunteers and people from all over the world, it's just a massive buzz, and you feel part of something. And I've often been going home after, and you feel a little bit down for a few days after, because it's like a massive event that you've worked towards for a good couple of years or so, and then it's over, sort of thing. So you get a bit of a down for a few days, but then you think, wow, I'm glad that's over.
Once you've had some sleep, yeah. Remember what it's like, yeah. So a bit of a funny year with tournaments, I guess. There's been some, not as many, but I guess the fact that there's no crowds at the tournaments still means that the preparation and everything else is pretty much the same, yeah?
Yeah, I would imagine so. We've not been involved during the situation with tournament support, just simply because they're restricting the amount of people that are going into the facilities. So
sure.
So as a company, we've not sent anybody to any tournaments for the last sort of 9-10 months. But it'll start to get going again anytime. Hopefully, as things start to relax and we start to come out of this situation, we'll be getting the calls again for the tournaments. Yeah.
So, golf is obviously pardon the pun, a major part of what you're involved in. Stadiums and football and other sports have become more to the fore with a couple of other products that you've got. Sub-Air, which I know has come out of golf essentially, hasn't it? If people aren't aware of what Sub-Air is, I mean, I'll let you just fill them in on what that is. And then the other one that I'd like to talk about is Turf Breeze. But fill us in on Subair, and its background.
Yeah, Subair's it's a product that we supply. We're partners to Subair for basically nearly everything outside of the US. So Subair originates from Augusta in the US. So years ago, I think Marsh Benson, who was the superintendent at Augusta at the time, he wanted to be able to ventilate his greens and suck moisture out of his greens and blow air into his greens without disturbing them. So I think he invented or helped or co-invented the first ever Subair. So what it is basically is it's a system that attaches to the existing drainage of a green or an area that's drained, and it basically can draw moisture out of the surface. They say around about 36 times quicker than natural drainage. And then also you can reverse that and blow air and aerate the root structure from below, from the drainage, so you can blow air into the green as well. So it can help in keeping surfaces at the right moisture levels and keeping them nice and firm. You can control the temperature of the greens a lot better with being able to blow air in and out of them. So it's a massive sort of, we call it a subsurface ventilation system. And Subair's the originator and been doing it for many, many years. And it's actually, in the US, it's getting really quite popular. It's a very, it's not an inexpensive option. It's expensive to put in, but obviously some of the top venues just need perfection all the time. They need to be able to control their soil saturation or lack of, so that they don't get to that point. And that can play a part in tournaments as well. Being able to keep, you hear it, it's probably one of the only products that the golfers actually know. You'll hear Tiger Woods say, there's some rain coming in on Friday at the Masters, and he'll say, I'll be fine, I'll just turn the Subairs off. He's got one in his own on his own golf greens at his house, but the golfers know about Subair. It's probably one of the only products they really know by name, or are interested in, which is quite amazing, really. They never say these greens are going to be great because they've got a Bernhard grinder, but
but I mentioned the Subair. Yeah.
There's quite a buzz about it, and it's we've put a couple of systems in Europe, in the last few years, and we've got a lot of inquiries. So I think, like anything, it's one of them products that will get more and more popular.
And it's moved into stadiums now as well.
Yes, yeah. So the stadiums, it's basically the same kind of system, just a huge system. So you can imagine golf greens have, if there's 18 greens, it has 18 different individual systems that work independently. The stadiums, usually for football pitches, but a lot of NFL pitches have them as well. And that is one huge bit of kit that takes up a room somewhere in the stadium. And again, they plug it into the drainage system. And you can program it to a certain percentage of moisture that you want to retain in that soil profile. And the Subair will just switch on and off it and keep it at that level all the time. And we've done, that seems to be the big interest at the moment for stadiums. I think you've seen this last few weeks in the Premier League, where for years we've not seen mud on a pitch for such a long time. And I think because some of the guys missed the renovation time, the lockdowns, etc., they've not been able to renovate. And we've had such horrendous weather that you've seen some of the pitches struggling in the last few weeks, although they're still fantastic. They're not at the levels that the guys obviously always want them at. And that's where Subair would help them, because they could really drain that moisture away a lot quicker. and keep the surfaces firm and strong.
And I think you've got it in a couple of venues in the UK at least, haven't you?
Yeah, there's golf-wise, we've got there's the Wentworth's got as a golf course got them, and Adair Manor has got a full system. JCB course has got the infrastructure there in there to add to it, and a couple of courses in Europe, a few courses, Wiederborn and Basel's got, Kranz has got a couple of systems. Gleneagles has got, they've got the oldest one in Europe. Theirs is over 12 years old, I think, now. So, yeah, there's quite a few. Wembley Stadium has got a sub-air. We took a copy system. Don't know if I can say that. We took another system and retroed it to put sub-air controls in.
Yeah.
But hopefully get a few more stadiums in the UK. Got a lot of interest, and like all these things, they cost a huge amount of money, and you have to budget for them, and it takes a few years from the idea to them fitting them. And they'll incorporate them in a total rebuild of the pitch, so not just a renovation. When they're totally refurbishing the pitch, that's the time to do it. So I'm hoping we'll be able to add a few more to the portfolio in the UK. But it certainly took off big time in the US in stadiums.
I did see the sub-air control room at Wembley, and it is something to behold, actually. So, and that's where I first came across Turf Breeze, which is another product that was new to me at the time. So do you want to just give us a bit of a chat about these?
Yeah, Turf Breeze is basically a huge fan, and it's being used predominantly. Again, it started in the States for golf greens in regions where it gets extremely hot, and there may be a problem of moving air because of trees or the environment where the green isn't great. And they would put one of these big fans at the back of the green somewhere, or somewhere where it wasn't visible, and they will create a gentle breeze. And the key word being breeze. We don't want to create a hurricane. It's a breeze, and it's been adopted really from the horticultural side of the business in greenhouses, where you would have a gentle breeze running across the plants all the time, and it's just to encourage the warm air that gets trapped under the canopy and to pull it out and keep the plant comfortable, really. So Turf Breeze was used in golf, still a huge amount of Turf Breeze fans are used across golf courses in regions are challenging. But obviously now it's moved into stadiums in a big way, because stadiums are getting bigger and bigger, and there's less air movement than there's ever been, because when they're designing these stadiums, very rarely ever considered that they've got to grow grass in them. So there's some of the stadium are quite stagnant, the air in there, which we know is not ideal for the plant. It never gets a chance to dry out properly. So with the aid of the Turf Breeze fans, we can create a vortex in the stadium and keep the air, fresh air, moving all the time. It makes a huge difference. It's one product within days of putting one in, you see the results. It's incredible. Where there's a lot of products where it takes time to see the results of what it will do. So, the Turf Breeze fans, we put them in on demonstration at stadiums that are really struggling with probably a corner of the pitch with algae and always being wet. And within days, the difference is incredible. It really is one of them products where seeing is believing, really. And it's as simple as a big fan moving air. And when we took on the product, I thought, well, it's just a big fan, but like anything, there's quite a bit of technology goes into with the way it moves air, and it is all about volume of air rather than wind speed. So they're becoming very popular. We're moving them all over. We've got some going into Scandinavia just this week, and you'd think Scandinavia, it never gets that hot, or humid, but there's a need for it everywhere.
Including Qatar, I understand.
Yeah, yes. Qatar has got the World Cup coming up in 2022, hopefully. And we started working out there about 6 years ago, going across. We sold some grinders into Qatar 6-7 years ago, so we got a foothold there. And we started working with the Supreme Committee across there on the upcoming World Cup, and we've managed to put 10 sets of grinders into that for the World Cup, and a good number of Turf Breeze fans to help with the cooling in the stadiums. And we've got Lusail, which is the World Cup final stadium there. The sub-air system got delivered there this week, and with another 4 or 5 systems in build there, and hopefully we should get all 8 stadiums. Will be running with Bernhard grinders, Turf Breezes, and sub-air ventilation systems under the pitches. So you can imagine I spend about 2 hours a day dealing with Qatar at the moment. So it's a big chunk of business for us, but it's been very good. And of course, the sub-air, people think all about drainage all the time, how it aids drainage. Well, in Qatar, that might not be a problem. Rainfall might not be a problem. My colleague at sub-air always tells me is the clue's in the name. It's not called sub-water or sub-drainage, it's called sub-air. So it will be used very much in pressure mode, which is forcing cool air into the root zone and giving that plant a chance. Against could be some extreme temperatures. Maybe not because it's moved to the winter, but definitely in growings and helping them. So that's quite an exciting time for us there in Qatar. Yeah.
Are you offering tournament support for that one?
Yes. Yeah, we'll be there. We're already started with training videos because we can't actually get there at the moment. So we're doing online training for the operators. But as soon as we've been there for the last couple of years doing practical training anyway, getting the guys going. So that's really started quite a few, way out in front of the World Cup. But then during the tournament, we'll be there. We'll probably have 3 or 4 people there across the sub-airs and the grinding systems. We'll have 3 or 4 members of staff there helping them every step of the way. Because of course, in a region like Qatar, it's not an established region for turf maintenance like Europe or the UK or the US. So, we really need to help them guys. It's good. They're very welcoming and willing to learn. And during this next 12 months, hopefully, if we can get travel going again, we may even have quite a few people across to our academy for training as well. So that's the key thing, is not just doing the tournament, but leaving these places in a better place, better trained people that can keep the standards there way after the tournament. Because for the spectator, it's all about the tournament, but for these golf courses and these stadiums, it's when everybody's gone, it's still really important to their customers and their members and things. And that's nice that if you can set a standard with them and help them, that they can take on afterwards, which is key.
I think one of the values that the company's always presented that I've picked up on is that commitment to training and excellence. One of the things that you've done in the past is you've taken groups of people out to major tournaments to get an experience. Not something I guess you've been able to do over the last year or so. But the reasons behind that program and what benefits you think that's brought to the industry?
Yeah, I think probably the most recognised one is the delegation that we do in association with Bigger, where we take 10 greenkeepers from the UK to the GIS show every year, and we take them for a full week. And during that week, they do an awful lot of education. So they go to classes, but then we get them down to some venues, to some golf courses, etc. And they get to see how things are done at some of the best golf courses in the world. And then we introduce them, because we've got so many of the top golf courses as customers. We have a function during the GIS week where we invite all our top customers to a get together one night, and the guys that go across get to meet all these top superintendents from these fantastic golf courses and get to chat to them and make network and make contacts, really. And they come back with a renewed confidence, enthusiasm. They're always enthusiastic guys anyway that go, because that's why they go, because they're so passionate about the industry. But they come back really, and I think we'll have took 200 guys out there, or would have done this year. And we were looking back a few weeks ago, and almost over half of the guys have gone on to better things after having that experience. And you ask them, did it have a factor? And they said, absolutely. It gave us the opportunity to go and see the best in the world and mix shoulder to shoulder with the best in the world. And they want a piece of that then. And it really does help people. And even if they don't move on to a top golf course, they make a big difference to where they are.
Yeah.
And they make good friends with each other, and they stay in contact, and it really does help. And we're kind of really proud of it as a company. That's what we're proud of, being behind is education, developing the industry all the time, because really, if we don't, none of us will be any better off. Better educated people, stronger industry, they make good decisions, and the industry all benefits from it. And we've done the same from the US, bringing them to the UK. We bring a huge amount of people to the academy from Asia every year for training and education, and we take them around customers, and it really works well.
It's something that stood out to me as one of the big things that you do and are known for. And I know, speaking to some of the guys that have been on those trips, how worthwhile they find them. And I think, if nothing else, you're improving standards and giving people something to aspire to. And long may that continue. And let's hope, it starts up again fairly soon if the world allows us to. Steven, it's been fascinating talking to you. And I think, really interesting to see how the company's evolved even over the last 4 or 5 years, and part of that is away from Bernhard grinders, and it's certainly there's a reason for everything, and that's the reason that you changed the name. And we look forward to hearing more about what goes on at the World Cup, that's for sure, because I guess, is that the first time you've been involved in one?
Yeah, in Russia we had some systems and a few grinders there, but we wasn't as involved in the actual tournament. It was done through our distribution, actually, when it was in Russia. One of our partners in Russia took care of that side. But yeah, for the World Cup to be involved at this level is the first time, and we're extremely excited about being involved.
Well, literally the world's eyes will be on the results of your efforts, won't they? So, and I guess the best thing would be if nobody mentions the pitches, everybody will be happy, won't they? So
that's what we're aiming for.
Steven, great to chat to you, and I hope to catch up with you soon.
Yes, thank you. You too. Take care. Thanks.